Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It's your boy Marvin. We're going to get straight into a video. Got fired. Candace Owens show is back. That is her title. And she has a lot to say. And it's good to see the show back at the end of the day. Maybe for legal reasons, she had to be careful what she said. As we know that basically the company she worked for before, who sacked her, had a gagging order, or supposedly had a gagging order, but sometimes you still got to watch what you say. So let's get straight into the video and we'll comment as you go. As I go, should I say.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back. Yes, I am genuinely so excited. I can't even tell you guys how excited I am to finally be back with all of my friends, just speaking about things that are on my mind. Genuinely, we have so much to catch up on. So much has taken place. What did I miss?
The Daily Wire has parted ways or fired Candace Owens.
The Daily Wire severs ties with Candace Owens.
Candace Owens is fired.
Was she fired or did she leave of her own volition?
Jeremy, the God King of the Daily Wire, announced that the Daily Wire and Candace Owens have parted ways.
Daily Wire and Candace Owens have ended their relationship.
Got to ask you about the recent departure of Candace Owens.
Justifying why he fired Candace.
Like, look what's going on with Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. I want to know what she was fired for.
Dang. All right, well, apparently I missed a lot. Welcome back, guys, and this time, it's just Candace. So obviously we have to address the elephant in the room. It would be so inauthentic. It would be so not Candace if we did not address the elephant in the room. And there's really just no way that we can pick up where we just left off. You know what I mean? We can't avoid it. The answer is yes. President Joe Biden did in fact poop his pants in France the other day. Everyone knows he pooped his pants. You know he pooped his pants. I know he pooped his pants. But especially us moms to toddlers, we know what went down. It's an unmistakable, undeniable squat. And I think the most telling part was Joe Biden's face. Jill Biden looked over at her toddler and she just looked like a disappointed mommy. She gave the, "You have got to be kidding me, here, now, didn't I tell you to go to the bathroom before we got into the car?" But that, of course, is not the only elephant in the room. I kid, there is a much bigger one, and we will address that too. You know, for me, my podcast, I describe it as just talking to my friends on the phone. That's what it feels like. I don't even feel that the entire world is listening. I kind of am just like, hey, oh my gosh, did you see this? This is crazy. I just read this crazy book. Oh my gosh, what does this mean about our government? It's corrupt. It's like talking to my family on the phone. And then we kind of sort of find out that the entire world is listening when all of these hit pieces are being written about me. And I'm like, basically being spied.
I just want to say a quick thought. It's good to see her get her confidence back. I'm not saying she lost it, but she must have been really disappointed with the Daily Wire and the way they've got rid of her at the end of the day. But she's going to do a hell of a lot more on her show. Look, she's got over 1.5 million subscribers, and people love her, and they want to know what she's got to say going forward as well.
Why is somebody listening to our private conversations? So yeah, when I found out, really kind of, sort of, definitely with the rest of the world that my show had been rather unceremoniously canceled, it was upsetting. It sort of felt like you're talking on those old school cord phones late into the night and like your parents are sleeping and then you think they're sleeping. And then suddenly your mom picks up and she's like, yeah, this conversation is ending right now and you're grounded for 2 weeks. It's over. Deeply, deeply upsetting. And I think also something that was strange is that when most people leave their jobs, they just sort of leave their jobs. It doesn't really become this global news story where everybody feels like they have to comment. Yeah, a worldwide Twitter trend for an entire week. Crazy. And I want to say this, I genuinely, my entire life, I believe that you should always aim to split amicably, whether that's in a relationship, whether you're in the midst of a divorce, which I hope never happens, or whether it's just leaving a job. I mean, why else would we put years?
I agree in what Candace is saying. it could have been dealt with a lot better than what it was. But I think obviously Ben Shapiro had his knives out. And I did mention yesterday, probably a few of the people as well, which were jealous of her. Which, like I said, some people smile, make sure everything's all right, but behind your back, they're running you down. We know that happens a lot in the workplace, as because she was the front of the Daily Wire at the end of the day, and because of upfront talking, some people in the hierarchy from the Daily Wire didn't like it. It was simple as that. At the end of the day, it wasn't just Ben, it was other people, which she will probably realise a little bit down the line when it all comes out.
In anywhere if you did not want that relationship to end amicably. That should always be the aim. I want you to know that. Wherever you are going, don't put in years somewhere and then have it be a messy split. And quite frankly, I also think it's the right thing professionally not to speak about why you are splitting or what's happened. But I was shocked, very shocked, and I'm sure you were shocked as well, when no sooner was the split announced than Andrew Klavan just was like, hey, it's me, I pick myself, I'm gonna be her crazy ex-boyfriend. Just like a bizarre tour he went on. He felt like it was his duty. Or maybe somebody knighted him and said, you know, Andrew Klavan, this is your duty to go around and to just smear Candace Owens. Say whatever it is that you want about her. And there's a piece of this that everybody's missing, and I do want to talk about that. I think Lauren Chen really summed it up, or at least pointed to it on Twitter. She sort of said, you know, what's really missing in all of these conversations with Andrew Klavan is, are you guys recognizing that he's basically saying she was really nice to him? That there was nothing that she did from a personality perspective. Yeah, that is kind of the big part that I think a lot of people are missing. Lauren Chen is correct. I was nothing but kind and nice and warm to Andrew Klavan for years. I had what I would describe as a very good working relationship with him, as I do with everybody. It's important to me to always represent myself professionally, also to always be nice and check in on people's lives. And just a few weeks before this, Andrew Klavan was sitting across from me on backstage, asking about my kids, asking us how I was doing, talking to him about the fact that I had a surgery. I had been walking around in a boot just a little prior to that because I had a surgery back in December. And I think that is just, I don't know, I don't even want to say it's strange, more than strange. I think it's dishonorable. You know, a lot of people go, oh, why do all of these young men follow Tristan and Andrew Tate? Why don't they follow people like, I don't know, Andrew Klavan? And I've really spent a lot of time trying to understand how it is, and I think this was just recently announced, that someone like Andrew Tate has become the third most Googled person in the world. That was recently announced. The third most Googled man in the world is Andrew Tate, his brother. They are from the wrong side of the tracks. How do they gain a following of so many young men following them? I think that one thing I could bet my life on is that if me and Andrew Tate were enemies, he wouldn't be sitting across from me asking me how my kids are. He wouldn't.
Look, Andrew has got a lot of respect for Candace Owens. Yes, sometimes they don't seem eye to eye, but I think Andrew is quite impressed the way Candace conducts herself. And Candace Owens respects Andrew being an alpha male, even though we know Andrew has said some silly things in the past and has probably regretted it at the end of the day. But I think these two people are not going to change the stances on what they actually believe in. I think Candace gets on with a lot of people, but I think a lot of people find her sometimes aggressive and upfront because they don't like the truth, even though I think the way she comes across is fair.
I also want to say that just in terms of how I've always behaved with my colleagues, if I ever had a disagreement with something that they said, I would never do anything other than to go to them directly. I would not be holding on to anything. In fact, this is a true story. One time Matt Walsh tweeted something and I thought that he just didn't have all of the facts. I'm not even gonna tell you what the situation was. It wasn't that important. But I just called him and I was like, hey, saw your tweet. I think that you should talk to this person because I think there's something that you're missing. And Matt was like, oh, well, I'm not gonna change my mind on this. And I was like, I'm not asking you to change your mind. I just want to introduce another fact. And I got him on the phone with somebody else and they had a conversation. I don't even know what happened with that conversation, but that's just the way that I would expect colleagues to behave. But you would just raise something directly with the person that you are seeing on a day-to-day basis. But Andrew Klavan didn't do any of that. And what he said about me, and the reason why I'm responding forcefully, is because it rose to a level not just of tremendous dishonor to him as an individual, but also to blatant defamation. Andrew, he just lied. I know, it was just such a weird thing for me to watch. He was lying with such gumption. And I'm going to show you guys how you really can sort of sniff out these sorts of lies in politics in general. And we're going to start by just cutting to Andrew. He, on his second appearance talking about me, because, you know, he really wanted me gone, but also can't stop talking about me, appeared on a show called Cross Politic, and he was explaining my alleged anti-Semitism. Take a listen.
The Daily Wire parted ways with Candace Owens, and part of it was things that she was saying that we felt were strongly anti-Semitic. And she was doing it in such a way that it was kind of hard to pin down, so I was trying to show where these things happen.
Strongly anti-Semitic, but in a way that was difficult to...
I think what it was is that he didn't really want to listen to her points or what she was saying, and then said that her words coming across is basically offending a lot of people. This will cause a chain reaction to the company you work for, people around you, and people listening in. It's just as simple as that.
To catch. So what we're veering into here now, obviously, is just like Black Lives Matter, giving you a definition of racism. It's in a way that only people with expert eyes can see it. Otherwise, he would just throw up a clip and be like, wow, look at this crazy thing Candace said, how anti-Semitic. This guy's really a racist. He's just like dropping N-bombs. Like, obviously, this person is extremely racist. But when you get to this sort of like, it was done in a way, you just know that it doesn't exist. That they're just going to have to make it up. They got to Jussie Smollett it. You know what I mean? You just got to make it up. And guess what? Andrew does just that. He jumps into a Hitler hoax. By the way, let me explain to you what I mean when I say a Hitler hoax. We live in 2024, okay? If somebody ever comes to you and says, like, I don't know, I'm a black person, and somebody tied a noose and left it around my neck, that's probably a hoax. It's just people are not tying nooses in 2024, and it just reeks of a hoax. For a Jewish person, Andrew is racially Jewish, if they're trying to sell to you that someone just like jumped up on stage and started being like, yes, I love Hitler, or like, you know, this person was just glorifying Hitler, you're probably being lied to. 99.9% of the time, it's a lie. And they do it because they have built up Adolf Hitler in our school books. They know that we instantly just recoil when we hear, oh my God, this person is supporting Hitler. So Andrew just jumps right into a Hitler hoax. And here is what he says, or at least what he says that I said. Take a listen.
But when you start saying things like some of those books Hitler burned weren't so bad, you know, I was shocked. This is something Candace actually said. I was surprised to learn that the books Hitler was burning, or the Nazis were burning, they weren't good books. They were bad books. They were socialist books.
Andrew, my friend, Andrew, my former colleague, I just don't know how you can do that. Am I broken? Like, I don't have the ability to lie like that. How could you?
Look, you know, the bottom line is, I think when I was watching the Daily Wire towards the end, and the little Kwame arguments and niggles and picking, the bottom line is someone's got to go, and it's normally the strongest character which has to go of the group at the end of the day. It's like I said, at the end of the day, maybe Andrew didn't actually say, get rid of her, but I think there were a lot of jibes out there to the directors by certain people saying that we don't want her to keep talking about this unless we've got to get rid of her. It's as simple as that. I think it was accumulation of things, but they were just as bad. What they were saying, even worse at the end of the day, and what they were saying about Candace and blaming her for certain things she'd said, and also taking her out of context. It's just unbelievable at the end of the day. But like I said, the Daily Wire now have lost a lot of people, have unsubscribed because Candace is not there now.
Do you believe that I got on my platform and I was just like, yeah, no, Adolf Hitler, like when he was burning books, it was great. I just thought it would be totally fine for me to do that. Of course, that's not what happened at all. Actually, I wasn't even talking about Adolf Hitler. It was an episode that I was doing on psychology, and I was talking about how a lot of the people that have brought forth modern ideas of psychology were perverts. And I listed 3 Christians among those psychologists. And the psychologist he is referring to is Magnus Hirschfeld. He happens to be Jewish, but that wasn't important to me. I was just talking about psychology. It was no more important than the Christians I had mentioned on that episode. Didn't need to mention that they were Christian, just the fact that they were perverts. And so what he's doing here is he's actually defending a pervert, Magnus Hirschfeld, by pretending that he is Adolf Hitler and that I said, oh my gosh, it's so great that his books were burned. No, I just introduced a fact. An actual fact that lives on the Holocaust Museum website. It's a fact.
I just want to make a point. You can see that there's a lot of misinterpretation into what Candace was saying. And sometimes if you just get a catch of conversation or a catch of a podcast, it may seem like you've said it unless you listen to the whole thing. And sometimes it's happened to amputate. People pick up things you've said, and it's seen as abusive or attacking people. Yes, I've always said some of the stuff that Andrew Tate has said, but you've got to listen to the whole podcast to actually get the gist of things. And this Andrew, he's obviously just picked up things, Candace, and swinged it round to make out that basically what she said is wrong, and she's putting stuff out there that is offensive to other groups of people, religions, Jews, Israelis, Palestinians. It just goes on and on and on at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? I think it really just boils down to basically jealous of her, and that they didn't like her leadership qualities.
That Magnus Hirschfeld's Sex Institute was burned to the ground by student protesters. Literal fact from the Holocaust Museum website. And here's what I actually said thereafter. In my view, he's a pervert. Doesn't mean that his library or his institute should have been burned down. There's no excuse for burning down an institute. There it is, you guys. Does that sound like someone who's supporting the burning of books in any capacity? No. And that's why he never showed the clip, of course. Am I supposed to believe that he didn't have access to the clips and the statements that I made at the Daily Wire? That he's not subjected to the same fact-checking process that I was subjected to every day that I was at the Daily Wire? That he just couldn't find out what it was that I actually said? Of course he could. He just wanted to lie, and he wanted to smear me. And I think that is awful. I think that's really awful. So what is it that I did that actually upset Andrew Klavan? That was kind of what I did. I've had such a great relationship with this guy. What did I do to deserve this? I would never do this to him or any person. What did I do that amounted to him planning an attack on me and smearing my name, absent any clips, absent any context? And he kind of gives it away in the title of his episode, because Christ really is king. And this, honestly, is just where things got a little bit disturbing for me. Andrew, for 5 entire months, had been seething. I mean, unbeknownst to me, never mentioned it to me, never when I saw him, over a tweet that I had sent last November, where I shared a Bible verse. And I ended the Bible verse, here it is, take a look at it, by saying Christ is king. It's just a Bible verse, okay? You will note that,
like I said, things you may put up, people can have a vendetta, or just don't like, the things you write, your confidence sometimes. And what she put was, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed they which are persecuted for righteous sake, for there is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. No one can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one of despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Fair enough. And Christ is King. At the end of the day, obviously, that speech or statement can mean a lot of things at the end of the day to her enemies, or she's just saying it as a verse. There's many things at the end of the day, but you have to be careful what people say, because people can have a vendetta about what you say at the end of the day and the way you come across. And they will work on, like they've said, in getting rid of you. Like she got the sack from the Daily Wire. It was a multiple of people and a multiple of things, which should have never have happened.
Nobody is tagged in this verse. This was not a response to any thread. It was a standalone tweet. But remember, Andrew is lying his face off, right? So he says, okay, this is the tweet that upset me. Now I'm just going to pretend that this tweet was delivered in a different way. And here is how he lies again.
The truth that hid wickedness, that I thought was the most wicked truth to use, was the truth that Christ is King. You know, when you spit that phrase at Ben Shapiro,
She used Christ as King in an argument with Ben Shapiro where it obviously carried this weight. And so that's why I was addressing it.
So there you have it. No, of course, I did not spit that phrase at a Jew. I just tweeted it all by itself. I did not use that phrase in an argument with a Jew. I just used that phrase at the end of a Bible verse because that's an appropriate time to use that phrase when I was calling for peace after actually somebody insulted me and called me faux sophisticated. And it was meant as nothing more than, I'm calling for peace. That's it. Christ is King of my heart. I don't need this drama because, if you remember, I was 38 weeks pregnant. And so obviously the world responded because I guess Andrew thought it was such a brilliant idea to launch this attack on Christian doctrine during Easter week. And people didn't like it. They didn't like it. And I just want to say I am so grateful to all of you who defended me and said how wrong this was, what was happening, how you just don't treat a colleague like this, and called out the sinister nature of what it was that he was doing. And he kept it up, trying to justify it, doing interview after interview after people essentially revolted and said, how can you do this thing? By then veering into what I would call Hitler dog logic. They're like, what are you talking about? She said Christ is, what is wrong with her saying Christ is King? And he has an explanation. It's Hitler dog logic. Take a listen.
And there is a substantial coterie of people, anti-Semites, people who hate Jewish people, who are using Christ the King as what the left would call a dog whistle. And they use it to spit at people. There are pictures of Nick Fuentes, who is a raving anti-Semite, shouting Christ the King in this kind of aggressive...
Just want to confirm Andrew Klavan, who he is. He was born July the 13th, 1954. He is an American novelist and conservative political commentator. Obviously, he does pieces on the Daily Wire, the Andrew Klavan Show podcast, conservative site, the Daily Wire. His career... he's written a few things as well. Written crime novels, the Homelander series for young adults. His novels have been translated around the world. I'm going to be honest with him. I've only really got to know him through, obviously, the Daily Wire in watching Candace Owens at the end of the day. But he's got a lot of books out there at the end of the day, and got a lot of political views as well. And he was a graduate at Berkeley's. Klavan began his writing career as a liberal. He became a conservative during the Reagan administration. He has been praised and criticised former US President Donald Trump. Klavan supports gun rights, gay marriage, and freedom of speech. He's got a few awards. He's got books, audio paintings, filmography. Look, you know, the guy obviously knows what he's talking about at the end of the day. He's got a lot of books out there, so it'll be interesting to know a little bit more about him and his beliefs, I must admit. We'll continue.
You know, pugilistic way to mean essentially Jews are screwed. That's basically what they're saying.
So there you have it, you guys. Candace didn't actually say anything, but this person, Nick Fuentes, also said Christ is King years before Candace, and apparently Andrew Klavan thinks that Nick Fuentes wrote the New Testament. And so anytime you are going to use Christ is King, Jesus is King, you be sure that you recognize this Hitler dog logic. Do you have a dog? Do you guys have a dog? Did you know that Hitler also had a dog? Have you disavowed Hitler today with your dog? Yeah, well, then that would make you a Hitler lover. That is straight up leftist logic. And I love how he attributes that to the left. He's like, well, the left would call this a dog whistle. Apparently the woke right would call that a dog whistle as well, a Hitler dog whistle. You're just basically attaching me to someone for absolutely no reason throughout multiple interviews, for no other reason than the fact that you personally have issues with that person because of the way that they have attacked you. It is ridiculous. But you know what? In the scheme of all of this, I can't even be that upset with Andrew because I think he attacked himself in the process. He showed his own character. As he was trying to attack mine, he revealed his own character. But you have to ask yourself, what?
Well, he sure did, because like I said, because Candace has come out and exposed him. And I knew there was more than one person involved in her sacking at the end of the day, and it's what it is. She defends herself at the end of the day, and I don't think some of the guys who were on the Daily Wire panel like that.
Gave Andrew the courage to lie so belligerently. Other than the fact that, by the way, the person in charge of fact-checking at the Daily Wire, the general counsel, is his son-in-law, so I think that probably helped it get through the fact checks. His married to Andrew's son. But what else gave him the courage? Well, what was it that Kanye was saying about the contracts? He must have known that I couldn't reply. He must have felt comfortable knowing that I could not say anything to defend my own name and my own honor, but he tripped into something different when he started lying on me in a way that rose to the level of defamation. And so I can defend myself against you, Andrew. I can defend myself against you. And genuinely do not wish bad on you still, because I don't want that on my heart. I don't want vengeance and hate on my heart. I wish you all the goodness in the world. In fact, what I wish upon you is a sacrament of confession for doing something with such thoughts, to plot for that long, for months. It's just it just defies belief with me. I could never do that. I would just go speak to my colleague. And here's what I will say. Always in my life, when things like this happen, there's always a reason. And it is because it inspires me. It inspires me to be great. It inspires me to be greater than I had been. And it inspires me to win against people that are doing bad. And so we decided to have some fun. So many of you guys sent me emails. We were just completely inundated with emails of people asking, how can we support you? And it's one thing to be like, hey, we want a donation. It's another thing for us to be able to create a product which will help support this show in all the ways that it is growing. You guys, I am introducing Candace cups, not to be confused with a Stanley Cup. The first one that
Yeah, I'm going to leave there. Obviously, this video can be carried on because she does start talking about other things at the end of the day. But my thoughts are on this is that you've got to be careful who you trust. I always said she's better off doing her own show, because generally you can say what you like as long as you're not upsetting people and you're in the right guidelines. But it sounded like a lot of people had it in for her in what she was saying and twisting her words to cause trouble, which can be a dangerous thing. Look, she's out of it, but she's way more confident in having her show back. So onwards an update for Candace Owens, respect to that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Streamline Entertainment, your boy Marvin. Thank you very much wherever you are in the world. Thank you.